Hey guys, this is a follow-up video to the one I posted earlier today about using infinite loop pads as a transition piece. Here's another way that we've used them in the past. Basically, everything in this track, if it is a scene that is in green, that's a launch point. So that is an intro, that's the count in, that's a section of a song. Usually in my tracks, the only thing that you will see that's green, like this song, that's the launch point. So it helps me out, helps me stay very visual and organized while I'm looking at this, because I'm old and I forget. Then usually the ends of stuff or a pause, anywhere where there's a built-in loop, will be in red. And so what that tells me is once I get to this red, unless I cue something else, nothing's going to happen. So here's what we were trying to accomplish. We wanted to do Here I Am to Worship, and we wanted to put communion into it. So this was a little introduction to the song. Then we're going to sing verse 1. We sang the first chorus. Then there is this long vamp in D, and that is that infinite loop pad. And then we did chorus 1, and it does a key change into verse 2, chorus 2, another long vamp that just sits there in E. That again is another infinite loop, and then we go into the bridge and we go from there. That was our arrangement. So just to show you, this is how it works. And I need to explain one more thing before I do it. What you're seeing here is I have previously started and stopped
acapella
this, and when I did, that makes the next tracks flash. That means that I'm using a thing called follow actions. If you don't understand what those are, just look it up on YouTube, Ableton follow actions. They're pretty simple and they work great. I don't like to have a song as just one big singular song. I break it up into sections because I like to jump around. I'm all ADD like that. So here we go. Here's what we did.
acapella 2
I'm going to pull
One,
this down just a little
2,
bit so I can talk over
3,
the top.
4.
Now, it takes off and we're in this loop. This loop is nothing more than a 4-bar loop. So if I explode my keys section and I look at that track, see it's ending on bar 5. The length of the loop is at bar 4. So that's a 4-bar loop, and that's what you're seeing it doing there. If you're not used to Ableton, you're seeing the counter follow through. And it's going to stay in that loop until I tell it to do something else. So I just use that as a time to talk, introduce the song briefly. Musically, you got plenty of room to interject there. So it's just like doing it live. And then I cue up the next one, and that's a launch point, and off it goes. And that's verse 1. You step down into darkness. Okay, now just for sake of speeding up the illustration, we go into the chorus. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down. And again, that's for illustration purposes. Obviously, we didn't do it like that. We actually sang the whole verse. So we're coming out of this one, and this is going to transition into this long pause again. Altogether wonderful to me. And then it's just going to kind of duck underneath, and at this point, pastor steps forward and he's talking. He's saying whatever it is he wants to say, and the musicians can lightly interject things because of this loop pad. Now again, I explained in the earlier video that when you use these loop pads, you want to use the root, the fifth, occasionally throw in a 6 or a 9. And here's the reason why. So I'm got my electric piano sound activated, and I'm in the key of D. Okay? So there it is. So now with that loop, even if I wanted to play the song, I could. Okay, and I'm playing essentially the verse, or the chorus. Lovely, altogether word altogether wonderful. And that's the beauty of the infinite loop pads. Or I can play the King of all days, oh so highly. And it just doesn't crowd anything. You've got plenty of room to work. So that's going along doing its thing. Now to time this right, I need to go ahead and turn on my metronome so I can hear where we're at in the loop. So that click is going on in my head, so I know where I'm at when the pastor gets done and we're ready to go. So here I am to worship, and we're off and running. So that does its thing. Then, as you can see, we get to the end of this, and just so you can get a feel for where it's going and the build, because I like things to go kind of up and down dynamically. It makes them a little more interesting. We do a static key change coming out of
Verse 2,
chorus
2,
1 and
build
getting
it
into
up,
verse 2,
3,
and then we're
4.
there. King of all days. And so we're off to verse 2. It's working out great. We do into the chorus. Again in E. And when it gets done, it's going to go right into this long vamp in E again.
Breakdown. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So there it is. There's the stop. And again, in E, I can play anything I want over that pad as long as I stay in the key. So just so you know, let's play through some of those chords so you understand how they work. 1 chord, 2 chord minor, 1 chord inverted, 4 chord, 5 chord. Now what you wouldn't want to do is, you can't throw in secondary dominants or anything like that, but you can throw in a flat 7. So that's the D chord in E. And then back to your 4 chord suspended, and then back to E. Works all day long. And then from there, it's going to hover in that loop until you tell it to go on, and then off we went. So
Down bridge.
all we were doing was just following the click and using the loop as a transition piece. Just figured I would throw that out there. Some of you may want to make use of that, and you may find it helpful. Others of you might be thinking, man, I can't believe I actually wasted time watching this YouTube video. Either way, have a great day.